You're live.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Derek Davis. I'm chairman of the House Economic Matters Committee. We are getting ready for part 2 of our alcohol beverage legislation day. These are local bills. We're going to start off with Prince George's County and then Baltimore City, and I'm going to go down the list. I'd ask a couple of things. Number one, for those who are in, please mute yourself if you're not speaking. I would remind our guests that the chat function is just for the members and the staff to communicate. It's not an opportunity to rebut something that you've heard or to provide additional testimony. For those, some of the bills are going to be similar to the statewide legislation, so I'd ask those testifying for and opposition to keep in mind, as well as to the members. We've debated it at the state level. Let's not break it down too much locally so that we can get through all the bills that we have to. And with that, is Delegate Lehman with us?
Not yet.
Let me give her 30 seconds.
Yep. Okay, let me tune in. All right. Call me when you come.
A second. Tell you what we'll do. While we wait for Delegate Lehman to arrive, let's go to House Bill 625. We'll start with that one. Madam County Executive, I believe that's the one that you're on. So if you would like to provide your testimony, and so you can move on with the rest of your day. I'm sure Delegate Lehman can jump in after that.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate the courtesy. Good afternoon, Chair Davis, Vice Chair Dumais, and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Angela Also Brooks, County Executive for Prince George's County, and I'm joined today by my Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Economic Development, Angie Rogers. We're here today in support of House Bill 625, Alcohol Density Zones and Licenses. I want to thank Delegate Jazz Lewis for all of his hard work, and I really want to applaud all the efforts that have been made by everyone involved in bringing this legislation forward. Even in the face of COVID-19, our teams have continued to work to keep diverse economic development efforts on track across the county. And one bright spot from this past year has been the performance of our grocery stores. Prior to March 2020, 45% of all meals were consumed at home. And since then, our research has shown that between 80 to 90% of our meals are now being consumed at home. And that sparked a 30 to 50% growth in supermarket activity since Q2 of last year. Grocers have performed well during this time, and we anticipate that they will be the main new anchors for retail development in the short term, particularly in the first phase of our economic development recovery efforts. This bill would enhance the economic tools that we have to work with both existing and proposed operators by incentivizing development of new grocery stores in healthy food priority areas as defined in the county ordinance. Healthy food priority areas were developed by the Prince George's Healthcare Action Coalition, our health department, and Prince George's County Food Equity Council to map healthy and unhealthy food retailers in the county. This has been a 2-year process that was designed to create a GIS map to display food swamps, which are areas with too many unhealthy food options and not enough healthy food retailers. A healthy food priority area in Prince George's County is an area where the ratio of healthy to unhealthy food retailers is low. The median household income is below $60,000 for the Maryland self-sufficiency standard for a family of 4. and where over 5.2% of households have no vehicle. What you should know is that in Prince George's County, this is a problem.
Madam County Executive, can you hold on just a second? We're getting way too much feedback. I'd ask the folks that are on here to please mute yourselves. Thank you. Please continue.
Oh, thank you. By identifying healthy food priority areas of the county, we aim to provide an evidence-based approach for allocating resources to encourage the development of healthy food retail. With the passage of this legislation, our team at the Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation would market these legislative changes in proactive ways to grocers and prospective anchor tenants as we continue our necessary efforts to eradicate food deserts, while also shaping meaningful economic development goals as part of our both of our short and long-term COVID recovery efforts. The alignment of this legislation, along with the overlay of grocery stores who are in food deserts and alcohol density zones, would increase the competitive landscape for grocers. In short, Prince George's County, and this is a shocking number, has more areas classified as food deserts or low income, low access than any jurisdiction in the region. More than 50% of the food retailers in our inner Beltway communities are of the fast food variety. These facts contributed to many of the health challenges our community faces, such as hypertension, diabetes, and obesity, and the impact of these health challenges played a huge role in Prince George's County's condition as the hardest hit jurisdiction in terms of COVID-19. This legislation is an important piece of our larger strategy to eradicate food deserts and provide the healthy food options that our residents deserve. Again, I want to thank Delegate Lewis. Thank you so much, Chair Davis and committee members, Vice Chair Dumais, for your efforts to bring this legislation to fruition. And I urge a favorable vote by the committee. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. And DCAO Rogers and I are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Let me try this again. Would DCAO Rogers like to testify, or is she just here to answer questions?
She's here, Mr. Chair, to answer questions.
Got you. I think Delegate Lehman has joined us, so I'll let her go ahead and present House Bill 625 now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for being late. I was having a little bit of trouble getting on. Glad to be here. So good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Madam Vice Chair. I am presenting to you House Bill 625, alcoholic beverages, alcohol density zones and licenses. 2 years ago, the work group on alcohol outlet density zones in Prince George's County was charged with identifying potential areas with high concentrations of off-sale retail licenses as alcohol outlet density zones, and to submit recommendations to the House and Senate delegations for Prince George's County and the County Board of License Commissioners. HB 625 is the culmination of that work group, along with recommendations to give Prince George's County additional tools to address economic development and a lack of grocery stores, as you heard about from the county executive, in needed communities. With amendments, the bill defines an alcohol density zone, defines a grocery store, allows liquor store owners to relocate across legislative districts only if they are moving out of an alcohol density
ready
zone.
to go. Else has to be done.
You might have to close out of the other window.
Ms. Robinette,
Yes.
we're testifying. I'm sorry, Delegate Lehman.
Okay, that's okay. It defines alcohol density zones, defines grocery stores, and allows liquor store owners to relocate across legislative district boundaries, but only if they move out of an alcohol density zone where the county already has too many stores. And it also allows grocery stores located in alcohol density zones, healthy food priority areas, or a regional transit district as defined by county ordinance to acquire a beer and wine license. And then finally, it establishes that grocery stores access to beer and wine would have access to a beer and wine license set at a 10-year pilot program. Now, the Prince George's County delegation has not yet voted on this bill, Mr. Chair. The delegation will follow up once it has been acted on. And thank you for your consideration. of House Bill 625. And thank you to the county executive for being here in support as well.
Okay. Before I go to the witness list or further, are there any questions of this panel, of the sponsors panel? Delegate Walker?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to see you, Ms. County Exec, as well as Delegate Lehman for this bill. We just heard some similar bills to this earlier, this committee. I just want to make sure that we're thinking along the same line. So food deserts are obviously a priority. It's not the vision of the county to have 7-Elevens and Royal Farms and those natures selling beer and wine, is it?
Angie is answering too, but no, that is absolutely not.
And it would just give the opportunity for a grocery store where we see, and then also there was some testimony that I just found out from the earlier bill hearing we had today is that I guess in Prince George's County, it may be different with what you call an alcohol designated area, but earlier, like a food desert would be considered all of the inner beltway in Prince George's County. Are we going to shrink that a little bit as well, or it is what it is? That's what it's defined as. Is there a difference between food desert and the alcohol designated area I heard Delegate discussing?
So this is a more, we're using more precision than just kind of a one fell swoop. Actually looking for areas that are considered food desert areas, but also the ones that are low, they call it low.
Low income, low access.
Low income, low access. And Angie Rogers is here as well. Angie, is there anything you wanted to add to the last question?
Sure. These areas are defined. It is not the entirety of the inner beltway, low income, low access areas. There's a definition. It is a term of art for which there's a definition and there's a corresponding map for where those areas are in the county.
And then I guess the last question will be, and it'll go to the delegate. I'm just thinking about off the top of my head. Do they expire? Like, let's take, if we go down my way, the district I represent, Glass Manor, all we're trying to do over there, Glass Manor, the Forest Heights area, if they to grow and obviously income level goes up and stuff there, will the stores located there, if they no longer become like a food desert, so to speak, and the income goes up, they lose their license, or they have the ability, once they get it, they keep it forever?
I just became familiar with the 10-year pilot program language. I'm not sure beyond that 10-year period what the bill envisions. I don't know if Ms. Rogers or County Exec also Brooks has any thoughts on that, or otherwise I'd have to circle back with the bill sponsor. I don't know what is envisioned beyond the 10 years.
Yeah, I would add to that. We haven't had any conversation about what is envisioned beyond the 10-year pilot. We're certainly open to a conversation about it because obviously it sort of changes the economics of a store if they, have a license for 10 years and then all of a sudden they don't have one.
That's fair. It just dawned on me as I was hearing these bills today to think about that. So long term. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Y'all stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. I'll continue on to the list now. Dan Hoos. You're muted, Dan, if you're still with us.
Can you see me? Can you hear me? Everything okay?
Sorry about we can that. Definitely hear you.
Okay.
And see you.
All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here today. My name is Dan Hoos. I'm the general manager of Bob Hall in Upper Marlboro, located in Prince George's County. We are a local family-owned beverage wholesaler selling beer to almost 1,000 different local retailers throughout Prince George's County, as well as Southern Maryland, and have been doing so since 1933. Most wholesalers and independent retailers, we are local family-run businesses who work hard to be a positive force in the community, employ many people, and are part of the landscape that make up our local neighborhoods and the business community. For us on the wholesaler level, an increase in chain stores does not mean an increase in business. It means quite the opposite. Volume is redistributed among stores, the number of deliveries increase, yet the number of cases per stop decrease. And with chains, we would experience a massive change on how we go to market. We'd have to make significant investments on how we address the demanding service needs of these chain stores, and we would have to look internally, at would that bring us potential job loss? And that is not something that we want to do. Bob Hall's never laid off an employee since it started in 1933, and we don't want to start now. When we talk about jobs, speaking of jobs, chains, will they bring an increase in jobs by adding alcohol? Or will they just add the responsibilities to current employees that are there? And while some revenue stays in the state, much of it will go out of the market and could go out of the state and out of the area. So why would we want to take resources away from our state? On the consumer side of things, our local retailers provide personalized service as well as a huge variety of products. And many of them are local brands that are made in the county and the state as well. And chains do have a limited amount of products. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee, please vote no on this bill to increase the burden of these local businesses. Say yes to local family business and say yes to keeping local jobs for our Marylanders in Prince George's County.
Next is Jim Spiropoulos.
Hello, Mr. Chair and committee members. Jim Spiropoulos, again, Town Center Market. You all heard me speak earlier on the statewide bill, so I'm not going to rehash everything that was already said. Just a lot of super confusion on where these food deserts and density. I'm been trying to put my head around where exactly these stores could potentially go. Are they existing stores? Would it be only for new stores to be enticed in? So that's all. I'm just really confused on exactly what this would be able to do. Thank you.
Steve Wise.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, you debated this issue and heard it at length this morning. It's really the same issue, but applied to Prince George's County. The main point we have is there was a 2-year work group on examining how to get rid of too many licenses in Prince George's County, these density zones. And now there's a bill proposed that will put more licenses in what I understand to be basically the very same areas. So to Mr. Spiropoulos' point, we're confused. As to the amendments, I've talked with everyone involved with this bill from the word go, and I've never seen any amendments. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Nick Manis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Nick Manis here representing the Maryland Beer Wholesalers Association. You've heard from one of our members, Bob Hall, also the same testimony that I would give on this bill. You heard statewide on the statewide legislation. I also have not seen the amendments and be interested to see those. And we oppose the legislation and look forward to addressing whatever amendments there might be in the subcommittee if you decide to send the bill there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Be happy to answer any questions.
Right. Bruce Veriano.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Economic Matters Committee. Bruce Veriano. I represent a group of Prince George's liquor stores in the county, and we oppose this legislation. This is a variation of House Bill 996 that you spent several hours debating. I too have not seen any amendments, respectfully, nor any map of what is a alcohol density zone. And that would be very, very important. But I don't know of any data that would suggest that just because a store maybe can sell beer and wine, that it's going to have a real economic benefit for that area. More importantly, or equally important, is there's no definition that I've seen in this bill as to what is a grocery store. Does that include Target and Walmart? You go into those stores, right smack in the middle of them, they have a grocery store. So how do you do a grocery store and not allow a Target and a Walmart, if they're in this density zone, to also have beer, wine, for all the reasons that were given that would so adversely impact the individual stores in Prince George's County? Would ask for an unfavorable vote on this bill. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Right. Marshall Burgess.
Thank you very much for listening to me this afternoon. I've listened to you earlier today on House Bill 996, so I don't want to belabor any of the facts. My name again is Marshall Burgess. I'm the owner-operator of Rips Country Inn in Bowie. We're family owned. We've been here since 1952. My sister and I own it now, so we're a female-run business. We employ about 70 employees. 25% of that employee base has been with us for 20 years or more. We have a wonderful health benefit plan, pension savings, retirement plan. I hear density zone. We're not quite sure what the definition of food desert is. I have 2 grocery stores within a half mile of our location, and a Walmart and Target, if we're going to throw that into the mix. We're here for the local community. We support the local community, the schools, the ball teams, our hospitals, other local fundraising. I just worry about this legislation negatively impacting the liquor retailers in Prince George's County, and I would ask you to vote no on this House bill. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Blaze Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spoke earlier as well on the statewide bill, so I don't have any much more to add, but I'm from BK Miller's over in Clinton, Maryland, 108-year-old family-run business. And like many of you, I just want to say that myself and my business represent Prince George's County, and I oppose this bill, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the hearing for House Bill 625. Delegate Lehman, while you're still with us, let's knock off the other 3. Let's start with House Bill 620.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, for the record, I am Delegate Mary Lehman, testifying on behalf of the Prince George's County delegation on House Bill 620. House Bill 620 exempts Class C licensed establishments from the current distance restrictions in law, including allowing fraternal clubs and golf course clubs to sell liquor within those distance restrictions. This bill adds one more class of license to the list of licenses already exempt from those distance restrictions. Specifically, House Bill 620 will give applicants for Class C licenses the ability to acquire a license within the 500-foot restriction of houses of worship, as well as the 1,000-foot restriction for schools. The Prince George's delegation has not yet voted on this bill. The delegation will follow up once the bill has been acted on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No further witnesses. That concludes the hearing for House Bill 620. Let's now go to House Bill 974.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, is that 979 or 974?
974, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I have 979 and 974, so I don't think that's a Prince George's bill. Am I wrong?
They would be PG 317 and PG 318.
I do not, you might be, I'm not sure which bill you're referencing.
974 is Delegate Washington's local bill.
Okay, that's the Sunday sales bill.
Correct.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for the help. Okay, once again, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, for the record, I'm Delegate Lehman presenting this bill on behalf of the Prince George's House delegation. House Bill 974 expands access to Sunday off-sale permits to all Class A and Class B liquor license holders in Prince George's County. There are currently 105 A/B license holders allowed to sell on Sunday. This bill would potentially open Sunday sales to an additional 60, that's 60 A/B license holders. They would have to pay the $750 application fee and an annual fee after that of $2,590 for Class A licensees and $1,080 for Class B licensees. Licensees also have to invest an additional $50,000 in improvements to their stores. This bill is intended to support small business owners in the county who are at a current competitive disadvantage as a result of this restriction to their business model. Passage of the bill will allow license holders to grow their customer base and continue to operate in what is a very competitive retail market. There is a provision in the bill to ensure license holders are held accountable in the event they are caught selling to minors. The bill will double the current penalty for sales to minors from $1,000 to $2,000. In addition, in the event that there is a felony conviction related specifically to the operation of a Sunday sales license, the Board of License Commissioners will suspend that license for a minimum of 10 years after the date of the felony conviction. Mr. Chair, we do believe this bill includes proper protections to keep licensees, customers, and the communities where these businesses are located safe. The delegation did approve this bill today, but Mr. Chairman, there is an additional amendment forthcoming. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Let's go to the final one now, 979 PG 318.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, was that a question for me?
No, I was just saying, let's go to the final bill now.
Okay, and that is 979.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Again, for the record, Delegate Mary Lehman presenting House Bill 979. House Bill 979 on behalf of the Prince George's County House delegation. House Bill 979 clarifies that the Board of License Commissioners can allow an establishment located in a specific geographic area on the University of Maryland College Park campus the ability to offer entertainment after 9 p.m. when patrons under the age of 21 are present, as long as proper agreements and security are in place. The license holder will enter into an agreement with the College Park City-University Partnership and the City of College Park, and under specific terms of the lease for the property, the license holder must immediately notify the landlord of that property of any violation or citation relating to the license, must provide to this College Park City-University Partnership and its members every month a list of upcoming events, maintain and operate the facility in a manner that is safe, healthy, and community-oriented, and refrain from any advertising that could be interpreted as encouraging underage consumption of alcohol. Live music and entertainment will generally start between 8 and 9 p.m. and end by midnight, but may on occasion occur between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. If an event is anticipated to extend after midnight, the license holder must inform and request comment from the University of Maryland and the City of College Park and the City-University Partnership, and the license holder must employ appropriate levels of security for every live music and entertainment event it sponsors. The bill supports economic development and entertainment while also ensuring that underage customers will not have access to alcoholic beverages. This bill did pass the full delegation today, Mr. Chairman, and I urge a favorable report.
Thank you much. That concludes the bill hearings for Prince George's County. Thank you very much, Delegate Lehman.
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair and Committee.
Thank you. I believe Delegate Clippinger is with us. Chairman Clippinger is here to do Baltimore City.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. I have them in numerical order, if that's the way you'd like me to.
That works.
All right. Thank you very much for allowing me to present each of these 5 bills. I'm going to start with House Bill 256. This is a bill that came from Delegates Rosenberg, Attar, and Bridges as introduced. The Baltimore City delegation had, however, to amend it to add Delegate Haynes because of a further amendment to the bill. The Baltimore City delegation added a further amendment because the establishment at issue in the bill, and this bill sets a 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Operations time for a particular for this particular establishment. It is not on the north side of Frederick Avenue, it's on the south side. Because it's on the south side, it is in Delegate Haynes's district in the 44th district. So for that reason, there was an amendment to add Delegate Haynes and an amendment to correct the location of the establishment. That concludes the testimony, or that concludes, sorry, my testimony on House Bill 256. On House Bill 506, this Delegate Branch's bill, it is clarifying there have been not really mistakes, but there are references in the alcoholic beverages article to the 46th alcoholic beverage district as determined by the legislative redistricting plan of 2002. This changes the 2002 to 2012 or 2011, 2012. There is an amendment to this bill that the city delegation approved that removed references to the 47th district because the 47th district isn't in Baltimore City anymore. It's in Prince George's County. So we can't talk about the 47th district anymore. So that's House Bill 506. 572 has a dubious sponsor, Delegate Clippinger, that guy, who this is the annual 46th district alcoholic beverages bill for the 46th district. It creates a 7-day, or it changes a D license that is at the distillery for Old Line Distillers in Highlandtown, changes it from a 6-day to a 7-day license. It creates a new tavern license at Canton Crossing. There is an amendment that has been submitted or should have been submitted with this to allow continued sales of distilled products at Sagamore Rye in Port Covington, and allow for a new restaurant license also in Canton Crossing in the 3700 block of Toon Street. That's House Bill 572. House Bill 868 is in the 45th legislative district. This was Delegate Smith's bill. It creates a BD7 license. It sets certain restrictions and guidelines as to how that's to be established by the Liquor Board for the restaurant Fire and Rice on Harford Road in Northeast Baltimore. There are no amendments to House Bill 868. There are no amendments either to House Bill 1288, which creates 2 Class C licenses, one at the Kappa Youth and Community Center, the other at the Current Space Art Gallery. It also limits liquor store hours from 10 to 10 in the 40th Legislative District. Delegate Ampry is working on this bill and is working with Senator Hayes, Senator on it. So there are no amendments to 1288 either. They were all approved by the Baltimore City delegation for presentation to you today. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to go on to our witness list. So if you're free to go back and do whatever it is you guys do down there.
Well, we just passed a bill from Delegate Pippi, and most people were very angry that he wasn't there anymore, but I assured them that he was miserable in ECM. I'm sure that's in fact the case. And I do appreciate just a brief moment to say something vaguely denigrating to Delegate Fisher, but I don't know that I'll do that today. Thank you very much, Mr.
Much
Chairman.
appreciated.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, I'm gonna go back to the witness list real quick. Is Delegate Rosenberg here for 256? All right.
Mr. Chairman, I informed the sponsors of the bill that I would just present on their behalf. So if the committee has questions,
Okay.
I'll hang around just in case.
Is Nicholas Blendy here?
Yes, for the record, Mr. Chairman, Nicholas Blendy, the Deputy Executive Secretary of the Baltimore City Board of Liquor License Commissioners. I'm here to answer any substantive questions that the Chairman of Judiciary can't, which are probably very limited.
All right. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you all very much. Let's go to Wacomico County. Delegate Anderson informed me that Delegate Adams was going to present that bill. Is that accurate? Are you there, Delegate
Yeah,
Adams?
Mr. Chairman, I'll do it right now. Thank you.
Okay.
And I say I am. Here's the bill. Mr. Chairman, here to present House Bill 795, Wacomico County Delegation, for the purpose of repealing requirement that a certain golf course have average daily receipts from the sale of food that exceed the average daily receipts from the sale of alcoholic beverages to be issued in a certain Class B beer, wine, and liquor license by the Board of License Commissioners for Wacomico County, and generally relating to the alcoholic beverages in Wacomico County. I'm asking for your kind approval of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. No further witnesses. That we will declare House Bill 795 as being held. Let's go to Queen Anne County and Delegate Ahrens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any particular order?
Whatever your pleasure.
Okay, House Bill 320, for the record, Delegate Steve Ahrens, 36th District. House Bill 323, Queen Anne's County Alcoholic Beverage Repeal of Place of Worship Prohibition. The bill removes the prohibition on the Queen Anne's County Board of License Commissioners from issuing an alcoholic beverage license to an establishment located within 500 feet of a place of worship. The intent of the bill is to allow for us to do fire departments to get a one-day liquor license.
Delegate Ahrens, I noticed that James Moran from Queen Anne's County is testified, is signed up for all the bills. Is he there for questions, or is he?
I believe he is, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I am here. And just like the delegate said, this is basically a housekeeping change to our liquor laws, our small communities, small towns. On one corner, you may have a church. On one corner, you may have a school. And then there's a fire department. And all of our nonprofits basically use our fire halls in our churches for their fundraisers. And this law is to help basically stop us from breaking our own laws. And just to make a quick change on the way the legislation was written prior to.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's 323. If you're ready with 349, sir.
HB 349, for the record, Steve Ahrens, District 36. This bill alters a requirement for alcoholic beverages inspectors in Queen Anne's County to inspect at unannounced times every licensed premise in the county from once every 60 days to at least once in 180 days. These guys get paid $3,000 a year and doing pretty good when we do inspect. So I think the bill's a solid bill.
All right. 644.
644. Delegate Steve Ahrens, for the record. This bill authorized Queen Anne County Board of License Commissioners to exempt up to 4 beverage license applicants for a corporation or limited liability company from certain requirements. It also prohibits the Queen Anne's County Board of License Commissioners from granting an exemption for licensed premises located within the Kent Narrow Commercial Management and Waterfront Improvement District. Essentially, the bill's allowing for chain restaurants to come into the county with the exception of the Kent Narrows.
All right. Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Delegate Ahrens.
Thank you.
Is Delegate Buckle with us?
I am, Mr. Chairman, and I'm sitting literally right next on the other side of the wall to Delegate Ahrens. I think I just heard his testimony in stereo. He's beating on my wall as we speak.
Throw something at him.
That's happened many times.
All right, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Delegate Turner here. Maybe I didn't hear it, but the last three bills for Queen Anne, were they approved by the delegation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry, approved, okay. All right, thank you.
All right, Delegate Buckle, House Bill 880.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. House Bill 880 is an Allegheny County alcohol beverage bill that was approved by our delegation. It is similar or identical to other bills I think you may have already heard from places like Montgomery County, or maybe hearing later today from a variety of other counties that would authorize Allegheny County to reimburse certain liquor license holders for fees that they paid for the 2021 license year, and would require them to either waive or impose lower annual fees for the 2021-2022 licensing period. This is, of course, taken in consideration of the COVID-19 pandemic and the reality that many of these licensees have had lengthy periods of either being shut down or much diminished in terms of their ability to serve the public. Our county commissioners have indicated that they support the bill and would like to have the ability to do this to help our small businesses in this sector during this pandemic period.
All right, thank you very much. Let's go to House Bill 883.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 883, again, is a bill that has been approved by the Allegheny County delegation at the request. We filed the bill at the request of the Allegheny County commissioners. My understanding of the bill and what it would do is enable Allegheny County to have additional Class D licenses provided to them, up to 2 a year, that they could then auction off through a silent auction or reverse auction process. The reason why the county commissioners brought this bill to the delegation for filing is because Allegheny County, like many smaller counties, we have a dearth of available liquor licenses for certain classes because of the reality of so many businesses have closed down. And sometimes what happens is a restaurant or bar closes down, the license is attached to a physical location. The owner continues to own the physical location and would like to market the physical location. And sometimes this stretches on for years and years and years of they're able to maintain the liquor license through opening for very limited one weekend here or there type of hours. And yet when new businesses come to our community and would like to start a new restaurant, a new bar, they have a very difficult time finding and obtaining this classification of liquor license. And so the county commissioners would like for the state to give them the opportunity to ameliorate that problem through this process.
This is 883, right?
Yes, that is correct. Transfer and auction of licenses.
Got it. Let me go. We got a couple of witnesses on this one. So is Roger Robinette available? Allegheny County Licensed Beverage Association, followed by Steve Wise.
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, Mr. Robinette doesn't necessarily need to testify. He's just here for questions. I'm happy to go first if you like.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Well, I appreciate Delegate Buckles' explanation, and we look forward to talking with him about it. Mr. Robinette is a store operator in Allegheny County, but he's had a tough time on the county level getting information about what's behind this. I appreciate Delegate Buckles' explanation, but a couple of things, and this sets a precedent that I hope the committee will take note of. This bill gives 2 licenses every year from the liquor board to the county commission, which they would then auction off. That is unheard of under the alcoholic beverage law. In addition to that, what partly is creating the issue is they have a population quota to keep a lid on the number of these types of licenses. I realize the pandemic has created issues that none of us could have foreseen, and maybe there's a way we can work through that. But this notion of auctioning off licenses as opposed to having them available for applicants who come in and prove need and go through the normal process is not one that we see a need for at this point. But again, we are happy to work with Delegate Buckle and hopefully some county folks to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, and I would say, Mr. Chairman, if I could, I've known Mr. Robinette for pretty much my entire life. We live in the same town. We're a member of the Vale Lions Club together, and I love Roger, and I've been trying to touch base with him all week, and we will work on those issues. It's my understanding, and I'll follow up with that with the county commissioners, that the intent of this is not to allow for more liquor stores, perhaps, that may be within this classification. It's really simply directed for people who want to come and start new restaurants, bars, and they're limited in the licenses that are available to them.
Okay. Well, we'll wait until we get a delegation letter and give you guys plenty of time to resolve any outstanding questions.
We'll figure that one out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
House Bill 1059.
1059 is a very simple bill. It's both for Allegheny and Garrett County's delegations. I'm presenting it on behalf of Delegate Beitzel, who's my other suite mate on the other end of the wall, simply because our state senator is the same for Allegheny and Garrett County. So the bill was cross-filed and he put them all together. This is a very simple bill that dovetails from existing language that exists for other counties like Anne Arundel County. I think that's the county we copied, that allows for gift basket permits for very limited amounts of alcohol to be served or to be sold after purchased from a licensed retail vendor as part of a food or flowers type gift basket. It's a fairly limited small bill that I believe the committee is familiar. Many other counties have adopted this type of permit scheme.
Oh, yeah. Seeing no questions, thank you very much. That concludes the bills from Allegheny County.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to do the bills from Baltimore County?
HB 555?
Yes.
Yes, hi, Delegate Bob Long, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear and see me. Good afternoon, Chair and Vice Chair. This is Delegate Bob Long here to present HB 555, Baltimore County Alcohol Beverage Class D Beer, Wine, and Liquor License.
Yes, sir.
Update and outdate of law, updated out-of-date law that prohibits Baltimore County from issuing a certain alcohol beverage license to a drugstore. Because of the drugstore prohibition, one of our local businesses has had to form a brand new business because of this conflict of the existing law. The business currently is in current operation and in good standing with the community. I mean, Dr. Fotis, is very involved in the community. And this, with this, to change this would help him not have to have 2 tax returns, 2 insurance policies, 2 payrolls, and separate vendors. It's just clarifying to make his business go a lot easier. These changes would help streamline his accounting and would eliminate workman's comp also. I'm going to have the owner of the business, Mr. Fotis, go into more details during his testimony.
All right. Well, then let's go to Mr. Fotis.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is George Fotis, and I own both Drug City Pharmacy and The Fountain. And as Delegate Long mentioned, they operate both under the same roof. And I'm hoping we can remove this prohibition against the drugstore owning a D license, which will make running both of these businesses much more efficient and easier. Interestingly, this prohibition is specific to D licenses only. You can have a liquor store or a restaurant that's owned by a drugstore, just not a Class D, which is essentially a B, just without the food service, but even though we do offer food service. We're just not sure why this prohibition is there. And interestingly, again, no other businesses have this sort of prohibition. So there's no, pet shop prohibition or dentist prohibition. The way that it typically works is the liquor board, it looks at all these cases and the scenarios and the application, and they make the ruling specifically for each license. I wanted to also mention that this change would in no way allow chain or corporate stores to open up, since this specific bill refers to independently owned stores only, and there's other bills which address that subject. So again, as Delegate Long mentioned, my current arrangement has resulted in much duplication, 2 tax returns, 2 payrolls, 2 sets of vendors, workman's comp, It's overly complex. It's manageable, definitely a big nuisance. I wouldn't say it's an absolute nightmare, but getting this off the books would make everything a lot easier. I do believe at this point that there's no logical rationale for this prohibition to still be on the books today. And again, I hope you all consider its removal. One other thing I want to say is I have the full support of the Baltimore County Liquor and Beverage Association. They of course represent the liquor stores, the taverns, and the bars in Baltimore County. We have the full support of our community. And to my knowledge, there's no businesses or residents of Baltimore County that have voiced any opposition to this at all. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Jack Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Jack Maloney, representing Baltimore County Licensed Beverage Association. Mr. Fotis is correct. We were unaware of this prohibition. We've done some research. Local council and delegation council has assured us that it has no effect on chain. We're supportive of Mr. Fotis. He is a member. He's held a license before. He very well known and respected in the community. And because he's an independent and it doesn't affect the chain stores, we are happy to support him.
Thank you very much. That concludes the witness list for House Bill 555.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to mention the Baltimore County delegation does support this bill, and you should have a letter. And we just want to thank you for your time and your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. House Bill 677. Delegate Long, are you doing that, or is that Delegate Bendari?
That's Delegate Bendari.
Okay, Delegate Bendari.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair Davis, Vice Chair, to me and esteemed members of the House Economic Matters Committee. For the record, this is Delegate Bendari on behalf of HB 677, Baltimore County Alcoholic Beverage Board of License Commissioner qualification. This legislation is simple and very straightforward. If passed, it would require that each member of the Board of License Commissioner would have to reside in Baltimore County. This is something most other jurisdictions have built into their board's rules and regulation, but as it stands, it is not something required in Baltimore County. This legislation would fix that. Earlier today, the Baltimore County delegation unanimously passed this, and I urge a favorable report from the Economic Matters Committee on HB 677.
Thank you much. Has the delegation taken a vote on this bill yet, Delegate Bendari?
Yeah, they already took it, and it passed unanimously this month.
Oh, okay. So if we don't have the letter, we'll be expecting it.
Sure.
Thank you much. That concludes the hearing for Baltimore County. Let's go to Frederick County if Delegate Young is with us.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to present the Frederick County bills on behalf of Delegate Young and the delegation, if that's all right.
Yes, sir.
So there's 5 bills. One of them we withdrew, which is 1241. So I'll go to 1242. Basically, this would enable a Class A establishment to offer an on-site consumption in a limited quantity. And all these bills, obviously, the delegation voted on in support, as well as the Board of License Commissioners, and we'll get you those letters ASAP.
Okay.
So that's the first bill.
Well, hold on, Delegate Pippi. What about 1240? I think we missed that one. 1241, you said you withdrew, but there was one before that.
You're right. Sorry. So 1240. This you guys will actually like this. We have a stadium license in Frederick County that actually requires the service of drinks in styrofoam. So we are in deleting that. So this is a good, healthy environment bill that I figure you guys would like. It literally just deletes the word styrofoam as a requirement. Technical.
Got it. Okay. Well, if you were finished with 1242, we can roll to 1270.
So 1270, another technical fix. We have a barber shop and beauty salon license in Frederick County. And when it was initially passed, it enabled up to 5 ounces of serving for both. We're changing the beer portion of that to 12 ounces. So you can serve up to 5 ounces of wine or 12 ounces of beer to be in line with the alcohol content.
Got it. 1272.
And 1272, another technical fix. It deals with, and for whatever reason, it had the percentage up to 21%, but to be in line with state code, it needs to be 22%. So again, just a technical fix, and that's the only change in that.
Thank you very much, sir. That concludes the hearings for Frederick County. If Delegate Beitzel is with us, we can go to Garrett County and House Bill 632.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, this is Delegate Wendell Beitzel. I'm here to, whoops. Hold on, hold on just a minute. Okay.
Delegate Wilson, leave Delegate Beitzel alone.
I think there, I'm there. I got it off. Okay. I'm here, this is, for the record, that's Delegate Wendell Beitzel. I'm here to present House Bill 632. This is a very simple local bill for Garrett County. They're doing some house cleaning and changing some things in there to adjust the fee slightly. I would ask favorable consideration for this bill.
Seeing no questions, no further witnesses, concludes the bill hearings for Garrett County. Thank you very much, Delegate Beitzel.
Thank you, sir.
On to Hartford County. Who's here for Hartford County?
Yes, I'm here. Teresa, Delegate Riley.
How you doing, Delegate Riley?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm
Long day
well.
for y'all. Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Davis and Economic Matters Committee members. For the record, I am Delegate Teresa Riley, here to introduce HB 312 and cross-filed with SB 386. This bill establishes a Class A LP assisted living program license for a for-profit assisted living organizations. It permits a manager to hold the license and allows the license holder to do several things: provide beer and wine for on-premises consumption by the resident or guest, store liquor that has been purchased by the resident, prepare mixed drinks using liquor that has been purchased by the resident, and serve the liquor that has been purchased by the resident. It also acquires an annual fee of $3,500. Take notice that the fee was reduced by the delegation from $5,000 to $3,500 in amendment number 813921-1 that was provided to the committee ahead of time. This bill, also, just to let you know, this bill passed out of committee and also on the House floor last year unanimously. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, we ran out of time to complete the process. And I respectfully ask for a favorable report on HB 312, which was as amended, which also was voted in the Hartford County delegation as a Hartford County delegation bill and is supported by the Hartford County Liquor Control Board. Also, I'm happy to take any questions at the appropriate time, but Mr. Chair, I do have two witnesses, a Mr. Andy Anderson from Brightview and a Mr. Joe Sneed Esquire signed up for oral testimony on this bill. If they could speak, that would be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Andy. All right. Good afternoon, Chair Davis, Vice Chair Dumais, and distinguished members of the House Economic Matters Committee. My name is Andy Anderson. I work at 128 West Ring Factory Road, Bel Air, Maryland. I'm the Executive Director of Brightview Avondale, an active retirement community which provides resort-style independent living for seniors and assisted living. My duties include overseeing the safety, well-being, and lifestyle of the 200 residents that call our community home. I've been with Brightview for 9.5 years. We strongly support the Hartford County Alcoholic Beverages Bill 312, establishing the assisted living program, beer, wine, and liquor license. And we appreciate the support of Hartford County's delegates and senators for the bill. Essentially, it provides everything that was already mentioned, allows us to provide alcohol for various activities, whether it's a brunch, a lunch, a dinner, a happy hour. It's a very part of our active senior lifestyle. And the assisted living industry across the U.S. enjoys the benefits of these liquor licenses. So we look forward to working with you to ensure this bill's passage and respectfully request your support. The allowable hours of consumption are 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., which reflect current Hartford County law. Thank you for bringing it to your attention or giving it your attention.
Good afternoon, Chair Davis, Vice Chair Dumais, and members of the House Economic Matters Committee. My name is Joseph F. Sneed Jr., 112 South Main Street, Bel Air, Maryland, 21014. In support of House Bill 312, I'll just adopt by reference Delegate Riley's comments and Mr. Anderson's comments. I am the attorney for Brightview, Avondale, and this does create a new license for assisted living facilities in Hartford County. We appreciate the support of Delegate Riley and the Hartford County delegation, as well as the Hartford County senators. As Delegate Riley indicated, this was House Bill 962 that passed unanimously in the House of Delegates. Unfortunately, due to COVID and the shortened session, we did not get it through the Senate. Hence, we're back in the House Bill 312 this year. And we'd ask for this committee's favorable report to the House Bill 312. And thank you, Delegate Riley.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, that concludes our hearing for 312. Let's go to 984.
Okay, I believe 984 is Delegate Impellario's bill. I'll come back for the delegation one.
Okay, Delegate Impallaria. Are you muted? Delegate Impallaria? All right, let's go to House Bill 1100 and we'll come back to 984.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your consideration. For the record, I am Delegate Teresa Riley, the Hartford County Delegation Chair, here to introduce HB 1100 and cross-filed with SB 390, Hartford County Alcoholic Beverage Gift Basket Permit. This legislation will establish a gift basket permit that authorizes a permit holder to sell and deliver gift baskets containing beer, wine, or liquor to certain individuals under certain circumstances and establishes an annual license fee of $100. The application requirements for the permit holder are: their primary business is the sale and delivery of flowers. Their business includes the sale and delivery of gift baskets of flowers, food, or other items. They cannot hold any other alcoholic beverage license under this article, and they pay an annual permit fee of $100. They cannot give this permit liquor license to a chain store, supermarket, or discount store. The permit holder must comply with specific requirements, and they are maintain records and submit those to the liquor board. They can only sell and deliver to consumers that are at least 21 years old. Their annual alcohol sales may not exceed 10% of the holder's annual gross sales. Their alcoholic beverages must be purchased from a retail license holder and stay within the specified volumes of beer, wine, and liquor going into those baskets, which are listed in the actual print of the bill, if you want to look at that. So other than that, I respectfully ask for a favorable report on HB 1100, which was also voted as a Hartford County delegation bill and is supported by the Hartford County Liquor Control Board. And I am happy to take any questions at the appropriate time. And I do believe this same legislation mirrors the legislation that was passed last year for Anne Arundel County. And also, I believe this is also allowed in Baltimore County as we speak. Thank you.
Delegate Riley, Delegate Aarons has a question of you.
Delegate
Delegate Riley, just a real fast thing, because we ran into this once before about delivery. Baskets will be delivered by, and you might want to add something about 21 and over and tips. That's all. If there's alcohol.
Okay, we do have it. The person that delivers has to be 21, and then the person who receives it has to be 21. But it doesn't have anything about tips in there.
Just a heads up if it comes up. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
We have a Cynthia Robichard signed up to testify as well.
Okay.
Ms. Robichard. Okay. Delegate Impelleri, I see has joined us. Delegate Impelleri, are you ready for 984? You're on mute.
That bill was withdrawn.
Okay. All right, well then that concludes the bills for Harford County. Let's move on to Howard County. Delegate Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can we start with House Bill 1151?
Sure.
And this affects Class A licenses, and it essentially just better aligns the number of licenses to the population in that it changes the countywide formula to an election district formula. The vote was unanimous. There is one clarifying amendment.
Okay. Let's go to 1152.
1152 is a Class B off-premises consumption bill, and it has one amendment. The purpose is to allow carry-out and delivery for restaurants in sealed containers with prepared food. The vote was 11-1.
You can share with me later who the one was. It's just idle curiosity. Let's go to House Bill 1155 then.
1155 regards Class A licenses and delivery. Currently, liquor stores in Howard County are allowed to deliver, but only if the purchaser comes to the store and purchase the alcohol on site. This would allow liquor store to deliver if the person purchases over the internet or on the telephone. And of course, all of the guidelines regarding checking IDs and all that still apply. So the vote was unanimous on that. And any questions?
We're rolling.
1191 is on
1191.
inspectors.
Yep.
Our county was one of the few that inspectors had to be sworn police officers, and this allows inspectors to be normal people, not sworn police officers. They must be trained, of course, and follow the liquor board guidelines. The vote was unanimous. That would help us with inspections.
Thank you very much. That concludes the bill hearings for Howard County. Is Delegate Weibel here for 1108 in Washington County?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Davis, Vice Chair Dumais, and honorable members of the Economic Matters Committee. Delegate Weibel to present House Bill 1108. This bill looks to change the number of events from 32 to 60 times per year for a Class 3 winery or Class 4 limited winery license permit holder. This permit authorizes the holder to sell for on-premise consumption beer, wine produced by the holder, sparkling wine, and liquor at an event for which the entire facility has been rented. The permit holder purchases this beer, sparkling wine, or liquor from a licensed retailer in the state. There is one amendment, and that simply changes the bill sponsor to the Washington County delegation from me individually. It should have been filed that way, but it was my oversight. And you should have a letter of support from the delegation. It was unanimous, as well as a letter of support from one of the wineries.
Thank you very much. That concludes the hearings for Washington County. We'll go to Anne Arundel County. Madam Vice Chair, if you can take over for a minute.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Vice Chair, Delegate Mike Rogers for the record, Legislative District 32. We actually have 3 bills in Anne Arundel County that we'll go through real quickly, if that's okay. First, House Bill 679. What that does is creates a movie theater license, and there's an amendment which speaks to serving beer and wine only in the lobby or in the public viewing area. It also says that you can only have one at a time for one beverage at a time for a maximum of 2 beverages. And this bill as all the Anne Arundel County bills were passed unanimously out of the delegation, you should have a letter of support. The vote was 15-0. Any questions on House Bill 679? Moving to House Bill 680. House Bill 680 establishes a full-time, or correction, a chief inspector and stipulates a salary of $30,000. Are there any questions regarding House Bill 680? Moving to House Bill 1136, Delegate Chisholm is here to present House Bill 1136 for Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. For the record, I'm Delegate Brian Chisholm, here to present House Bill 1136. House Bill 1136 is just simply a reimbursement of alcohol fees to certain alcohol class licenses, such as restaurants and small clubs. It did pass out of delegation this morning unanimously. There is one amendment. It was to remove certain classes and racetracks this morning. Other than that, everything else was, it was approved by the Alcohol Commission this morning as well.
You're on mute, Madam Vice Chair.
So sorry. Yep. And I just said you'll get the amendment and the delegation letter to us.
I think we already have them up there, Madam.
Okay, good.
All three
All
of
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then that concludes the hearings on Anne Arundel County bills. We'll move to Calvert County. Delegate Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and members of the committee. Delegate Mark Fisher for House Bill 1016. This bill is very simple. It eliminates the annual license fees for bars and restaurants in Calvert County for 2020 and 2021. It's supported by the delegation and by the Calvert County Commissioners, and that's the bill.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions? We will then move on to Charles County. Delegate Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Good afternoon, colleagues. Here to present on behalf of my delegation, House Bill 1018. This bill authorizes a Class 4 limited winery license holder in Charles County to hold or have a financial interest in one retail license that does not apply to on-premise, which a Class 4 winery license would apply. Basically, the advantage of this bill is to help small family-owned businesses, encourages agro-tourism, promotes startup wineries, and this is this unique exception, which won't impact many, will help quite a few of our Charles County small wineries. Basically, in conclusion, this legislation will increase our farm wineries and those in the state and stimulate the economy in ways that are beneficial, not only to Charles County, but the state of Maryland. I urge a favorable report on House Bill 1018. Thank you.
Thank you. No
I believe there's
questions?
one witness.
Oh, go ahead.
Is she still on?
I don't know.
She might not be.
What was the name? What was it, 1018?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair.
Okay. Bonnie Rothel? Bonnie Hockman-Rothel?
Well, that's all right. I'm sure we have her written testimony. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Okay. All right.
I am here.
Oh, sorry. All right, well, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, delegates, and particularly. Oh,
You're breaking up.
sorry, 1 second. 1 second, sorry.
We still can't hear you, Ms. Rothel.
Thank you, Chair, delegates, and particularly Delegate Wilson for introducing HB 1018. I am Bonnie Hockman-Rossell, and I've been a practicing lawyer for 33 years, and I'm a member of the Maryland Bar. I've lived in Charles County for over 25 years and have looked for ways to give back to the community. Everything at one time. My apologies. I guess somebody's trying to tell me it's my turn to testify. My apologies. Can you hear me?
We can.
I've lived in Charles County, Maryland for over 25 years, and I've looked forward to ways to give back to the community. I've served on numerous boards, task forces, provided pro bono and charitable services for the communities. One of the ways my family and I have attempted to give back to the community is through the development of a vineyard on some forgotten farmland in the community that we thought would be best to keep kept rural and agricultural. We planted the first grapes as a family in 2016 and named the vineyard Purple Magnolia Vineyard. We planned on having a small winery by now. We also had opened a small family-run coffee and wine house on Cobb Island a few years ago, known as the Cove at Cobb Island, because we saw a need in the local community for a low-key, family-oriented place for the community to gather, sip coffee, have fresh foods and desserts, and sample wine or other beer or cocktails outside of a typical bar setting. We also provide wine education there. We already employ 7 local citizens, and post-pandemic, hopefully we'll employ more again soon. If we're able to open our winery, that too will employ local citizens and bring economic stimulus to the community. However, due to an outdated restriction, my husband and I cannot get an agricultural winery license, a limited Class 4 winery license, because we currently own a retail establishment that holds an alcohol license. Ironically, we would be able to do so in Montgomery County for a Class 3 winery. We also would be able to obtain a brewery license, and we would also be eligible for a Class 9 limited distillery license. And if we move to several other states, we would certainly be able to have an agricultural winery and also have a retail license. But as currently written, Maryland Alcohol Code 2-206 restricts the holder of a limited 4 winery license from also having a retail license. A Class 4 limited winery license is already limited to farm and agricultural wineries, whereby the wine is produced from grapes grown on the vineyard or by Maryland grapes. There's no reason to treat beer and wine differently here. HB 1018 will result in more employment. It will result in one of the first wineries in Charles County, and it will also help us keep our coffee and wine house on Cobb Island open so that we wouldn't have to choose between the two. We understand that the bill has unanimous support from the county. We understand that Grow and Fortify has supported similar bills in the past, including the exception that was made in Montgomery County to allow dual licenses for Class D beer and wine producers. So we hope you will move forward with this bill, and we welcome any questions or concerns you may have. My family and I, as well as the local community, all appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today.
Thank you, Ms. Whittel. Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, that concludes the testimony and the hearing on House Bill 1018. We'll now move to Montgomery County. Montgomery County has 3 bills. I will present them quickly. The first bill is House Bill 428. This is an emergency bill that authorizes the Montgomery County Board of License Commissioners to reimburse the annual fee for each alcoholic beverage license issued by the county for the 2020 to 2021 licensing period. And it also requires the board to waive a portion of all annual licensing fees for alcoholic beverage licenses issued by the county for the 2021 to 2022 licensing period, and the bill terminates June 30th, 2023. And I move or hope we will vote favorably. It was unanimous in the delegation, and there is a delegation letter expressing that in the file. Any questions? Hearing none, we will move to House Bill 430. This bill repeals the capacity requirements for an applicant of a BWL Community Performing Arts Facility alcoholic beverage license in Montgomery County. The bill takes effect July 1st, 2021. I believe there are witnesses on this. Ms. Salmon.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Amy Saman on behalf of Montgomery County. I will keep this very short. I know you've been here all day. We support this bill. It'll allow some of our larger performing arts facilities to have some flexibility in the events that they offer, particularly now, given the pandemic. They'd like to offer some different types of events. I appreciate it and respectfully request a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you. And is Ms. Durbin here?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I'm just here for any questions. Thank
Okay.
you.
Great. Any questions on House Bill 430? Seeing none, we will move. Thank you both for being here, and we will move on to the final bill for Montgomery County, which is House Bill 432. And this bill authorizes the Montgomery County Board of License Commissioners to issue a refillable or non-refillable container permit for draft beer to the holder of a Class H beer and wine license if the licensed premises is in Damascus. And the bill makes some conforming changes. It goes into effect July 1st. And there are no other witnesses on this bill. And we obviously, Montgomery County hopes that you'll move favorable. All of the Montgomery County bills were unanimous out of the delegation, and the delegation letters are in the file. That completes the Montgomery County bills. We have one more county, St. Mary's County, Delegate Crosby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate Brian Crosby here to present House Bill 529, St. Mary's County Alcoholic Beverages Distillery On-Site Consumption Permit. The bill simply establishes on-site consumption permit for the holder of a Class 1 distillery license in St. Mary's County, authorizing the sale of certain drinks under the permit, and establishes an annual fee for the permit. The local bill was requested by the St. Mary's County Liquor Board and is supported unanimously by the delegation, the Board of County Commissioners, and the Board of County Commissioners. We have to give it a favorable report. Thank you.
Okay, and there are no other witnesses on this bill. So that concludes the testimony on House Bill 529. House Bill 814, Delegate Morgan.
Oh, there you go. Hey, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. House Bill 814 exempts the fees for bars and restaurants in St. Mary's County, alcohol fees for 1 year. You should have a delegation support letter and a local commissioner support letter. And I wish I could have got the amendment in to change this over the sponsorship, make this a delegation bill because it has support of the delegation as well. So with that, just request a favorable review. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you. Delegate Howard.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Delegate Morgan, is this in the same sort of arabesque posture that all the other bills are as far as licensing?
Yeah, I believe so.
The refunding of those licensings?
Well, it's not the refunding, it's exempting going forward. But
okay, great.
The reason is because they didn't really get the full benefit of the license they bought the year prior. So
okay, thanks.
Gotcha.
Any other questions for Delegate Morgan? Seeing none, that concludes the testimony on House Bill 814, and in fact concludes the testimony for the day.
Thank you. Y'all have a great weekend.
Thanks. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see.
We have a voting session on Monday.
There is a voting session on Monday at 4:30.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So we will see you.
Depends on how you vote.
4:30 on Monday. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.